Dear friends, a poor milk seller was on his way to Mecca when an incredible miracle occurred that astonished people worldwide. But what happened after he drowned in the sea during his journey? This story will surely strengthen your faith. Before we begin, if you are Muslim, don't forget to like this video so we can see how many Muslims are watching it. Assalamu alaikum, dear viewers. This is a true story that happened about 50 years ago. It took place in the city of Lahore, Pakistan, in 1974. At that time, a poor young man lived in Lahore, earning a living by selling milk. Every day he went from house to house delivering milk to people. This young man had a deep desire in his heart. He wanted to perform the Hajj. Each year when the Hajj season arrived, people would set out on pilgrimage or return from it. This milk seller would visit them, eagerly talk to them, and even kiss their hands. He felt immense love and respect for the pilgrims. One day during the Hajj season, he began asking people, "Brother, how can I go to Hajj?" Someone told him that people travel from Karachi. Another, mocking him, pointed to the train station and said, "Just get on a train and you'll reach Hajj." The innocent young man believed these words and boarded a train. At one station, he got off and started asking people again how he could go to Hajj. Thus he began traveling from one station to another. Honestly, for many years he carried the desire to perform Hajj in his heart. This time he swore to himself that no matter what happened, even if he had to walk, he would reach the Kaaba. He recalled how a wise elder once told him, "If someone sincerely and wholeheartedly desires to visit the Kaaba, if Allah wills, he will bring that person there in a miraculous way." Holding on to this faith, he set out on his journey with conviction. It was this faith that inspired him to board the train. Traveling from one station to another, he learned that people usually set out for Hajj by ship from Karachi. Let me tell you that at that time, traveling by ship for Hajj was quite common. One day, a ticket inspector on the train noticed the young man. Touched by his innocence and deep devotion to Hajj, the inspector felt sympathy for him. He said, "Come with me, I'll take you to Karachi." So one day, the milk seller finally reached Karachi. Upon arriving at Karachi station, he began asking people, "I want to go to Hajj. Where should I go?" Someone kindly directed him to a camp. Without wasting time, he headed there. At the camp, he saw countless people preparing for the pilgrimage. But this poor young man had no ticket, no passport, and not a penny to his name. Nevertheless, his heart burned with a deep desire to perform Hajj. One day an idea struck him. He noticed that porters who helped pilgrims carry luggage onto the ship could board it. So he befriended a porter and managed to borrow his uniform. Disguised as a porter, he began helping pilgrims load their belongings onto the ship. Though his frail, thin frame made others skeptical of him, he humbly pleaded, "Please, let me carry your luggage for free. I love pilgrims. Please place it on my head." Thus, disguised as a porter, he boarded the ship repeatedly. Quietly, he hid in a corner of the vessel. Changing back into his clothes, he returned the borrowed uniform. While other pilgrims rested peacefully in their cabins, he stayed outside, silently and patiently enduring everything. At some point, he asked a kind person on the ship, "Brother, when we arrive at Jeddah port, please let me know." When the lights of Jeddah city became visible in the distance, that person pointed and said, "Look over there. Alhamdulillah, after months of travel, we've reached Jeddah." Hearing this, the milk seller climbed onto the ship's railing, gazed longingly at the harbor of the holy city, and, overwhelmed with emotion, jumped into the sea without hesitation. He knew he had no passport and, by law, could never leave the ship to enter the Holy Land. Moreover, he didn't even know how to swim. So as he plunged into the sea, he began to drown and did not resurface. The person he had spoken to earlier looked for him, but saw no trace of him. Realizing what had happened, he sighed sadly, thinking it might be the will of Almighty Allah. After completing the month-long pilgrimage, circling the Kaaba, staying at Arafat, visiting Medina, and paying homage at the sacred tomb of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, the man finally returned to Mecca. One day, as he was leaving the holy mosque, he suddenly saw the same milk seller emerging from the Kaaba. Shocked, the man asked, "Brother, aren't you the one who jumped into the sea out of joy, even though you couldn't swim?" The milk seller calmly replied, "Yes, brother, it was me." The man then asked, "But how did you survive? What happened to you?" The milk seller said, "Come with me. I'll tell you everything." The man followed the milk seller. When they stepped outside, he saw a shiny new car with a driver. The milk seller got into the car and invited the man to join him. They drove to an upscale neighborhood and stopped in front of a large house. Inside, the milk seller warmly welcomed him and asked a servant to bring fruits and drinks. Amazed by such hospitality, the man asked, "Brother, weren't you a poor milk seller without a passport? And now you're living a luxurious life in Arabia with even servants." The milk seller smiled and replied, "Brother, I'll soon tell you my story, but first know that this car is mine, as is this house. Since you know everything about me, I'll tell you how this became possible." The milk seller began, "In my heart there was only one deep desire, to see the house of Allah. Because of this intense love, Allah rewarded me. When I reached Jeddah, I said to Allah, 'O Allah, I surrender to you. I have no passport, no documents.' With those words, I jumped into the sea. I didn't know how to swim, but I struggled with all my strength. It felt as though the sea waves were pushing me toward the shore. Water entered my stomach, and I lost consciousness. When I came to, I found myself lying on the shore. It was deep night, and I was surrounded by iron bars with the main gates locked. I realized I must have been in an immigration control area. Then I noticed a house nearby, with a cow tied to one of its posts. Two men were trying to milk the cow, but it resisted and wouldn't let them. I gestured to show I could do it. They looked at me and guessed I might know how to milk a cow. One of them said, "If this man can milk the cow, open the gates and let him out." By Allah's will, the same sheikh who detained me later released me to help milk their cow. Soon I learned that the sheikh had a very ill son who, by doctor's orders, needed fresh cow's milk, so they had bought a cow specifically for him. However, although the cow produced milk, no one could milk it because the animal was extremely aggressive. Neither the sheikh nor his wife could find a way to calm it, and both were visibly upset and disappointed by the situation. When I said I could milk the cow, the sheikh's wife intervened and convinced her husband to let me go. No one else could even approach the animal. I gently stroked the cow's head, spoke to it softly in my own way, and, to everyone's surprise, the cow calmed down. By Allah's mercy, I managed to milk it. In one go, I got nearly 8 to 10 liters of milk. The sheikh's wife was astonished, saying that since they bought the cow, they hadn't managed to get even half that amount. Then she said, "Don't let this man go." Later, I met the sheikh, and he asked, "Who are you, and where are you from?" I told him everything, that I came from Pakistan with the intention of performing Hajj, and that I was a poor, helpless man. The sheikh said, "I won't let you go. You milk excellently." I replied, "I'm ready to work, but if I can't perform Hajj, my heart won't be at peace. That's the purpose of my journey." They assured me I shouldn't worry about the Hajj. They would arrange everything. The next day, the sheikh's wife called her father and told him the whole story. Her father owned a large cattle farm with about 200 cows and buffaloes. He immediately appointed me as the permanent supervisor of his farm. The sheikh personally took me to the farm and introduced me. His father-in-law said, "You'll live here and be responsible for the farm. You'll also train new workers." When milking time came, I managed to milk 20 cows at once. They were shocked and said, "We couldn't imagine so much milk could be drawn. Our cows never gave this much before." Then they said, "You'll stay here. We won't let you go. And yes, we'll make sure you perform Hajj." They insisted I stay, even when I told them I had a wife and children back home. They replied, "Don't worry about that. I built a new house, and I'm giving it to you. And this car you see, I just bought it, and I'm giving it to you too. Now give me the names and addresses of your wife and children. I'll send them a message." They promised that within a month on the next ship, my wife and children would arrive. They said, "Your wife and children will arrive in a month on the next ship. You'll be able to perform Hajj with them. Moreover, if you wish, you can perform Hajj every year." Dear brother, I hope that in a few months, my wife and children will be here with me. I performed the Hajj. Now I understand that the deep longing in my heart to see the house of Allah, that longing and my sole faith in Allah, brought me here, and it was Allah who blessed me. Allah granted me blessings in this world, and as a reward for the hereafter, He gave me the opportunity to perform tawaf around His holy house. I will visit the sacred Kaaba every year, inshallah. Dear viewers, this story shows us how important it is to have a pure intention when it comes to Hajj.